to Chicago 45. We got Danielle up there to my left. She's one of the coolest managers I've ever had in my life. And Darby, she reminds you of when you're in the hood. Like she reminds you of that. That's what she reminds you of. Then Darby's a really, really close friend of mine. It's like super, super close. We ain't got to see each other for a whole 2 years, but when we see each other, it's love. It is what it is. And Jody's one of the first. She's one of the first girls I used to coach in grammar school. Now she's at in high school. I think she's a sophomore at Fenwick. Yeah, without further ado, we're gonna hop into some of these good things. Oh, another thing, for the people who are watching, go like us, go subscribe to us, and we got an Instagram page up. It's baby legs, but it's kicking. So I'm gonna kick my first question off to Darby, because me and Darby, we've been having a lot of back and forth, like really good back and forth things. So the first question is, let me open up my Palm Pilot. Should NFL, NBA teams, and other sport teams, associates kneel during the national anthem? Should that be a thing? Should everybody do it?
It kind of depends on what you mean by it. Should it be a thing? Should it be required?
Okay.
Not in the least. Not at all. Should we make such a social uproar about people doing it? Not at all either. So we got to think about it in this way. Those companies such as the NFL and the NBA, I think the MLB, NHL, those companies are private companies. They're not publicly owned. And when you do anything private, you're kind of outside of the public sphere when it comes to social standards. And so when you have players kneeling and all that stuff, that's totally fine. What you don't really hear much about, as far as like, you hear from like certain people, certain political people, but you don't hear it from just a normal community saying, hey, you should do this, or this should be the case. The problem for me is the requirement for people, or kind of like the forced-handedness for people who don't want to kneel. So that's kind of where it becomes from a free idea, your own mindset, to being, if you want to partake in, if you don't want to be outcast, then you must do these things. And kneeling is one of them, which is why you see them in every, I don't know if you want to like cursing on it.
Oh, which is why we're from the hood.
Okay. Which is why you see damn near every athlete now is making some type of social stand, some type of social justice stand on this platform of like MLB, NBA, NFL. So I don't think it should be required at all. I think if you want to do it, you should do it. I think if you get your teammates to get behind you, that's fine. But I think if it's a teammate on your team that, he don't want to kneel, that doesn't mean he doesn't stand with y'all. It's just he don't want to make this statement. He shouldn't have to.
Okay. Danielle, what you think? Because you come from the west side of the scope, the sphere. What do you think about that tone, Danielle?
So personally, me, I choose not to kneel. It's just because, to me, the national anthem, like what it means to me, I don't want to taint what it means to me and what I want it to mean to my children. I guess, but for everybody, the national anthem means something different to them. I feel like if you have a clear message behind something, then that's what gives it power. I feel like when the whole kneeling began, there was not like a clear message with like, a group of individuals that like were rallying behind it, who supported it. So when the kneeling happened, there was really no power behind it. It just caused a lot of confusion, a lot of animosity, a lot of hate. And then it started to unfold. And now we're at a place now where the kneeling is okay. I don't believe it's because of the kneeling. I think it's because of all the events that transpired after the kneeling. Now everybody wants to support the kneeling. So the whole message behind it, why Kaepernick kneeled, it's not even that. Now I'm kneeling because I'm white and my black teammate is kneeling, so I'm doing it to support him. Or I'm kneeling because, like you said, Darvin, now it's like, that social stance where it's like, ooh, you don't do it, now you an outcast. So let me just go ahead and kneel. So I don't think there's enough power behind it. But I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing, though. I think it's a beautiful thing. People, you know, doing what they believe in. That's always a beautiful thing.
Okay. Hey, what up, Keith?
Yo, I'm here. I'm finally here. I'm here.
What's up, man? Hey, so another good friend of ours he went to the opposite school, Michelle Clark. You know, we ain't gonna get into all that Eagles versus Tigers beat. We're gonna keep that, low key. Yeah, but you hopped on a tad second late. So our first question was, should the NFL and NBA and those teams be, kneeling? Should that be the thing? Or like Darvin alluded to, should it be required for people to kneel now?
If you know what you're kneeling for, like at the end of the day, it comes with a meaning behind it. If you know what you're kneeling for, like she said, don't just be kneeling because my teammates are kneeling. Like if you know what you're kneeling for, if it has a meaning behind it, then of course you should be. But like I said, a lot of people are taking it into like she said, my teammates are doing it, so I'm just gonna do it with them. Like if you know what's the cause and the purpose for us kneeling, then yes, you should. But don't just kneel because everybody else doing it. So you definitely should have a purpose behind why you kneeling. And once you know that, then it's definitely right. Like it's definitely right for it. Yes, you should be. Once you know that understanding of why you're kneeling, of course, get your ass right down there and kneel. Sorry, I ain't mean to curse them, but
you're fine. You're fine.
Oh yeah, get right down there and kneel if you have to, long as you know what you're kneeling for. But a lot of people are doing it just because, it's cool right now. Everybody kneeling, so I'm gonna kneel too, and still don't understand the reason why. But if you know the meaning behind it, then definitely get down there.
Okay. And so I'm gonna Joe, you got anything you want to push to that, Joe? Because you're Fenwick Catholic student, you have some elaborate mind that's pushing. We went to public school.
Yeah.
All public school kids say, yeah.
You know.
Joe, you got anything you want to add to that?
I feel like what he said, if you know why you're kneeling, then yes, you should kneel. And then kneel with like pride and not fear of consequences, because I feel like ever since Kaepernick did it, I feel like there was like, oh yeah, that's right. But then I feel like there were other players too who like wanted to, but like just a fear of consequences, because he got blackballed. People said many disrespectful things about him. So I feel like as long as you like kneel and then like kneel with pride, then yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Before I play devil's advocate, I'm gonna just ask. So Jay, you said the flag or the national anthem. And I'm gonna play devil's advocate to everybody. I'm gonna try my hardest to like pick, poke at everybody. So you talked about the national anthem. You didn't want to taint your image or taint your kids' image on what you wanted to, for them to understand it is. How does that correlate as far as kneeling and this protest versus? I don't know if it's about the flag itself, but go ahead.
So yeah, no, I don't think it's about the flag. The flag is just a symbol, the symbol of American people. I know originally, like we've had the conversation about the flag before, and back then what the flag was opposed to what it is now to some people. So I'm proud of my flag, and I'm proud of the national anthem, not because of the time when it originated, but more so like where I am now, who I am now, and the opportunities that me and my family have now, and not just me and my family, but like a lot of people have a lot of opportunity here in America. So for me, the kneeling during that time, because for me and a lot of others, like we value the flag and we value the national anthem. So it essentially could be something disrespectful, but that's where like the offense comes in. I'm not going to be offended if you kneel. If that's your choice, if it doesn't mean what it means to you, what it means to me, then by all means, if that's to you kneeling, with this, if that's where you feel the opportunity is to make a stance or raise awareness, then by all means, that's you're right. That's you taking an opportunity to do what you got to do. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm sorry if I kind of went off on your.
Oh no, you're good. No, you're good. No, you're good. I think I wanted to ask the question as far as, since it is in a sport, field. If it's 12 of us and one person don't kneel, is something Ain't nothing wrong with that. Well, think.
Are you asking me that question?
Just anybody.
Oh, somebody else wants to share.
Oh,
Nah, I don't think nothing is wrong with it because everybody got their own perspective. Like I can't like that's just like saying I'm gonna get mad at you because you don't feel the same way I do. And just life don't work like that. I mean, every individual got their own perspective. So long as you like, I can't get mad at you for not kneeling because of the same reason that I am. I can voice my opinion and my perspective and how I feel, but at the end of the day, I can't get mad at you for feeling the way you do.
Okay, can I ask? I'm gonna push back. But in every other thing in life, there's a weird code that we have. So we have this weird bro code. So if Darby do something slick to his girlfriend, I gotta zip it. It's like a fall in line. You remember when we used to go out and your mama say, if one fight, all fight.
Oh, right.
What happened? Should that be the same
The thing,
concept?
Now you're right.
Go ahead, Darby.
The thing is, when you go back to what you said, if it's 12 on team and 11 stand and one don't, what's being pushed there, what's being pushed in the examples you just gave is tribalism. This is how we think, and you can see this in a lot of women's. This is like the whole joke about women's friendships and about how it's a lot above the surface, but it's nothing below the surface, right? It's a joke. It's probably not true, but the thing is, when you force people to comply to an ideology, to a mindset, to a way of life in which they didn't gather on their own, it's forced tribalism. And so it's like the guy so I think for the Magic who didn't kneel and then he tore his ACL, right? So he tore his ACL. Now, what's more important here is the response that we gave him after he tore his ACL. Countless jokes. Karma works crazy. You didn't take a knee, so God took your knee. Like, it's a lot of stuff like that. It's kind of like, it's funny, but we force you to act and think a certain way. I'm reading a book now called it's 1984. It's by George Orwell, right? And it's just how it's the advancement of socialism. If it were to, he wrote it in like 1940, but he was placing it in 1984. And if we all think a certain way, then it removes all violence, any type of negativity. It creates a utopian society. And so the problem is everybody don't think that way. Like he just said, if you don't think that way, that almost promotes innovation, almost promotes advancement because you're thinking different than me. Therefore, if we're working on the same problem, let's say he agrees on one problem and I agree on one problem, but we're coming at it from two different angles. Nobody's angle is the correct angle. It's the multiple angles that get to the solution of the problem. And so forcing somebody to think some way, otherwise we socially exile them, we smear them, we slander them, we do anything towards their social reputation. That's a problem. And then the reverse is people who do it because of the social benefit that come with it, right? So when she was speaking on Colin Kaepernick's original point of kneeling, I think it was social injustices, just purely social injustice, right? No. He did twice. He had two meetings. It's the meeting he had directly after the kneeling, and then the meeting he had when he went back and thought some more on it, and he came back, and then he expressed that meaning. He changed his meaning of that kneeling because of what comes after it. If I put myself as a mogul, as somebody, I'm sacrificing myself for the betterment of my people. That idea, that reason, that has to be so far deep into the history of something that it applies to me. And so I put myself on the stake for the betterment of my people. He had they say he's blackballed and all that stuff. He had tryouts, he had all that stuff. Purposely botch him because it doesn't serve the message he's trying to push. And so if we don't agree with Kaepernick, we don't agree with Black People Matter or police is this or whatever he's pushing, we don't agree with it, which is the opposite. Like he said, people think differently. We're individuals. Me and my brother grew up in the same household, two different people. Right? Because we got different. Vontae, TC.
My God.
Two different people. Because we grew up in the same household, which lets you know people not the same. And so forcing me to do what you do because you think what you're doing is more moralistic, more involved with morals than I am, is disingenuous in a sense, and is it doesn't promote change, and it's definitely not going to promote the change you're actually looking for.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask another question to like for that one. But the system, I feel my first thing is this. I feel like when black people do things, it's a little more. People think it's a little more crazy. People like, oh no, that's bad. We can't do it that way. When our white counterparts have done that exact same thing and has been looked at like at a great pedestal, like capitalism. Like that's a one. Like we think that way. They made everybody think that money is everything. So we already think that way in that kind of construct. I think so. Now, here's my thing as far as black people. We want to kneel about something, and it's oh, you can't do it because it's disrespectful to the flag. But they disregard the actual meaning behind Kaepernick's, kneeling for. And in John and Isaac thing, I think what he said was disingenuous as far as using religion in that. I don't think that was. I don't think that was a good thing to do, because now you're using morals against me again. You're using another thing against me to devalue my protest. So you're protesting my protest again. As long as they know what they're kneeling for, it's fine. So I'm a white man. I'm just kneeling because I'm with you.
Right.
You're not really messing with that one?
Nah, because I'm not. It's not. I don't want you to feel like you with me. I want you to understand while I'm here. Okay. Like, because at the end of the day, like I can be kneeling and you can kneel right here and be like, yeah, pat me on my back. Yeah, I'm with you, brother. And the only reason I can say that, because, the college I went to was predominantly white. It was like 94% white, bro. So it was just like, it was a bunch of the moments where, yeah, they just gonna do it just because they right there with you. But the moment they step away from you, it's a whole totally different thing. So like, my thing is, don't just do it. Don't just kneel because we right here on the field before the game. Like, kneel because you know where I'm kneeling with everything that comes off of when we leave from this game. So it's like, don't just like, yeah, I can understand. Yeah, I know why you're doing it right now, but know that I'm like, this is more than just me kneeling right here. I want you to kneel by knowing that once you kneel, it means more than just us getting on this floor, getting on this field, getting on this court, or doing whatever we're doing to get on this game.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And another point I wanted to point out was, what's her name? I'm sorry, what's her name? Is her name Danielle?
Yeah, Danielle.
Well, she pointed out, which is why she said she doesn't kneel, which is just it's a standard point. I don't kneel because what the flag represents to her, right? Kind of like Drew Brees. I don't kneel because my grandfather's fought in the war, and I don't want to disregard their sacrifice, right? So he doesn't kneel. When we force someone to kneel, what we're then saying is, okay, you have your reason for not kneeling. I have my reasoning for kneeling. My reasoning is bigger than your reason, right? And so if you don't do the bigger reason, then you're not for the bigger point. And so now I kind of got dishonor my grandfather in order to submit, not even to get to the
to make you happy.
To you to make you happy. Now I'm dishonoring my grandfathers. I'm dishonoring whatever I believe about the America. I don't believe the symbolism of America is what the kneeling was, right? So I'm not going to then attach myself to that message because I don't believe in it. But if I don't do it, society as a whole, because of the narrative we push through media, believes it. I'm the outcast now, and what do we do with outcasts, right? And so then now my life goes down this hole of turmoil because I don't believe what we believe. That's the thing about tribalism. When you get exiled immediately, the world coming up was tribes. You hear it all the time, tribes. It was endless war, countless war, because my tribe believes this, your tribe believes this, and now we clash to see who idea prevails, right? And it's just all based on numbers and innovation. If I got numbers and I got innovation, I won, right? And so, I kind of agree with her point is she doesn't kneel because she feels like the opportunities that she's been given now in contemporary society, it doesn't warrant a kneeling. Now, if we back in the 60s, Jim Crow, pre-civil rights, slavery, all that stuff, then okay, we're not representing what.
But Jim Crow and all that stuff was like 60 years ago, so it ain't that long.
Which is an argument, I guess, in the sense of some people that live through both worlds.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's an argument for that. But time, there would never be slavery was 400 years ago. We still cry about slavery. You know what I'm saying? So it's not time that makes it relevant. It's the fact that if you punch somebody in the mouth with this point, we can't deny that. Historically, America was terrible. Historically, every country was terrible. Slavery didn't originate in America. It's just it's been a political point for America. You got to think about it. America came from Europe, right? We broke off from Europe and created America. In Europe, there was slavery. In Africa, there was slavery. In Africa, there was indentured servitude, right? And so that world then was slavery. It was the norm, right? And then America built itself, it separated, created its country, and then created a Declaration of Independence, right? And then created a constitution to step away from slavery, right? Now, it took forever.
But context, they stepped away from slavery so they wouldn't be oppressed. So then they took the next group of oppressed people and utilized
you would
them.
say no, because the people who came from that's why we had a civil war, right? Because when we created America, some people had different ideas, which is the North and the South, South slavery, North no slavery. All right, and so it was created in 1776. It's when slavery ended in I think 1863 or something like that. Whenever June 19th was 65, right? So it took 100 years, way too much time, right? But in the Declaration of Independence in the Constitution, it's promoting this idea that we're trying to pursue, and you're not going to pursue it perfectly. It's like when you coach a basketball team. This is the game plan. That game plan changes the minute you start the game, right? But you stay within the concept. And so I don't believe in the contemporary society being this endemic racist place where the black people can't get ahead because we're getting ahead because we're promoting that message. And that's crazy in a sense. So I kind of agree with what she's saying.
Okay. So I see where you're going. So JL, so as far as the flag and everything, and he spoke about getting ahead and like it shows you opportunity. So you see the flag, do you get that message from that flag or the national anthem and things like that? There's opportunity, there's room for growth for you. Like, do you feel like you can still, like, it's a level playing field now?
Well, I mean, considering like the opportunities that I've had, I feel like I'm not oppressed. My message to my kids is to work hard and earn what you feel you desire and you want. I feel like a lot of times we try to, when we don't accomplish the things we want to accomplish, or we don't go work for the things we want, but yet we feel we deserve it, we look to other people to blame instead of blaming ourselves. We all deserve, to the pursuit of happiness. We all deserve to have the house on the hill, family, the good job, financially be independent and all that good stuff. But you have to work for those things. And I've worked for what I have. I've started from a position when at my current employer now, making $8.50 an hour. That was where minimum wage was at the time. And I worked hard. I worked long hours. I worked overtime without pay because I knew where I wanted to be, and I got there.
You work hard too.
I work hard, and I got there. And I never really felt like I was oppressed ever. I do feel like I was discriminated against, and in ways where I felt, but I just persevered and I just pushed harder. The company that I'm at now, when I came on board, it was majority like Caucasian people. And the opportunity, I saw a lot of blonde hair, blue eyes get the job before me. And, I just worked harder. I persevered. So I thought I got it. I just do feel like I was discriminated against. I don't always believe it was necessarily because of the color of my skin, but probably because of my personality and who I am as an individual. But I feel like America today, like Darvin was saying, was not the America that it was 60 years ago. We don't have Negro only signs, white only signs, when we had these 60 years ago. We all freely get to walk in any building. Now, humanity is still the same. We still feel the same emotions as we did 60 years ago. we still feel discriminated. We still feel like somebody walks in the room based off their demeanor, their attitude, even the way they dress. And at times, possibly, yes, the color of their skin. We do look at them and we think certain things in our brain right away when we have that first interaction with people. However, that doesn't change the fact that we freely get to walk into a building. We freely get to use whatever restroom we want, whatever water fountain we want. We don't have to sit in the back of the bus. You know, we had people who during that time were the kneelers and the protesters during those times who took care of that for us today. So now the flag today is not the same flag that it was 60 years ago or 1817, whatever you said, you know, when the flag was.
All right.
So me today, I don't feel oppressed. I feel like if you work hard, you can get the things you want. And that's what I teach my kids.
Okay. So I agree with that. I agree with some of those things. But here's my pushback right here. It's not that it's overt. It's not that it's like slapped down. There's no niggas in here. You niggas got to go that way. It's not that it's overt. But I don't think it's a level playing field, to be honest. If you, the lady Kimberly, I forget her last name. I forget her last name. Made a great analogy of like what we in now. Imagine playing Monopoly, right? And you got to stay your token on go. While whoever you're playing get to go around the board 400 times. They get to buy up everything 400 times. Then they say, you know what? Well, no, 100 times because it's slavery. Boom. Then you come out and you got Jim Crow. Boom. And once you come out, everything is bought. So now you have no generational wealth. There is none of that. It's the same thing it was when it was in the 60s. It's just not overt. It's just not fucking water hoses and dogs loose on you. But it's just now it's like, okay, cool. You can't go to this school. You can't go to that school. We went to nice high schools, but there was piss poor high schools versus Oak Park high schools. Those things are there. They are systematic. They are systematic things that are placed there for us to always take a step back. Now, as far as, you know, us having like a mentality, like you saying, Danielle, like you gotta work hard. All right, cool. That's a good trait to have. But what if your neighborhood and your resources don't teach you how to work hard? What if those things are not available to you? Go ahead, Keontae.
Yeah, bro. I just gotta on the aspect of to like, I feel like it was the same thing like way before we even got here. But what I think that we get so caught up in is like that, like, bro, if you put me in this trash can, right? If you right now, physically, if you put me in this trash can and then you walk off, it's up to me whether I'm going to get out of this trash can or not, right? Like, if I stay in this trash can, it's my fault. Like, if you put me in there and walk off, it's up to me to get out. And I feel like what we do is too much. We kind of like, yeah, this is their fault. But, like, we know this, though. Like, in this place now, well before people been going through this, bro. Our daddies, our granddaddies, everybody went through this. We know it's coming. We know this system is not built for us. We know this, though. Like, in the back of our mind, we know that this is messed up. And at the end of the day, we still use that as an excuse. And I agree with her on the aspect. It's like, I know these people ain't going to look at me the same. Like, before I even get here, before I even apply for this job, I know that these people not. So it's like,
is that an excuse?
What can I really do? What can I really do on this aspect when I already know this? So because I already know this, now it's up to me to better myself to get around that. Now, the messed up part about it is that I have to get around it. But at the end of the day, I know this. This is systematically set up for, it's not meant for me to make it here. It's not. So as much crying as I'm doing, I'm going to do all this. But it's set up for that. I know this now. So if I know this, is it my fault? Am I going to keep blaming you where I already know that this is how I set up? So am I going to try to move? Like, at this point, it's not right. I'm going to totally acknowledge that it's not right. But it's set up for this to happen like this, and I already know that. So now what I got to do is, while I'm here, I gotta move around it and do what I gotta do to advance myself because I already know that this barrier is right here. Like if I already know that it's there, yeah, I can protest, I can fuss, I can fight, I can whine, but that motherfucker set right there. It ain't moving. It ain't meant for that motherfucker to move. So I can just sit here and sob about it all day, or I can get around it while I'm here. I can sob about it for 70 years and then waste 70 years of my life trying to sob. Or if I can be like, all right, that motherfucker gonna be right there. So while I'm here, I'm gonna do what I can to get around it. And unfortunately, that's what we gotta do. But that shit is known. This ain't nothing new. Like, this shit been known since, it's been set up since way before we even had any control. So that's why I feel like I can't blame it on nobody. I can't say the system set me up because of this, because of that. I know that, bro. My daddy knew that. His granddaddy knew that. Shit, his daddy knew that. Like,
well,
what are you gonna do? Like,
so hold on. So you say you can't blame the system, but you know.
exactly.
Kind of,
like, cause I know it. I know this supposed to happen, bro. All this police brutality, all this stuff that's happening right now, it's not shocking to me. It ain't nothing like, oh, I'm unexpected. This shouldn't be happening. I know it because it's been happening way before I even got here. This what we dealing with right now, it ain't nothing new. So it ain't me be like, oh my God, I'm so shocked and surprised. This shouldn't be happening. No, it's the same shit, just different times.
I think
the
So like if I'm
hold on, Keontae. Daniel, go ahead, Daniel.
I wanted to pop on one point, a couple points he said. The first point was the garbage can analogy. That is like, as far as like how he said we are as a community. My biggest critique about us is we don't have a community, or we don't have any principles or values to stand on in the culture. And so when he said you put him in that garbage can, right, and you walk off, and he says up to him to got the garbage can. The point I agree on is it's up to you to get the garbage can, right? Or what you can do is you can spend the time in the garbage can being the victim, right? Saying he put me in this garbage can. Now I can stand up, step out, and then keep moving on. And take what you bullied me, you put me in the garbage can. Take that experience and build on it, and become a better person, right? Instead, we constantly put out new ads, new talking points, revolving around the same thing, in which majority of us, if we keep it 100, we haven't experienced any of that, right? It's secondhand knowledge.
What's that?
Segregation, slavery. Nobody alive has experienced
not
slavery.
segregation, but racism.
Now, so like the 60s, 70s, all that. Even racism is still alive today, but it's not because a system is racist. It's because it's 357 million people here. Somebody's going to be racist. Something's going to be racist. All right. So if you're looking for something in America, you're going to find it, good and bad. It's 357 million people here. Now, what I disagree with is that there's a system that's put in place, right, in which we term systemic racism, right? Systematic racism, systemic racism. I don't agree that there's a system put in place that the purpose is to keep the Black community from advancing, right?
So
because
hold on. So you don't believe in them redlining to keep Black.
So redlining was a thing, but when was redlining? Redlining was during Jim Crow.
Hold on.
You can't believe
redlining.
that.
Listen, redlining. I'm about to tell you. You can tell you because there was a housing act put in place in '73 that federally outlawed redlining. All right. So now it's illegal. So now you can say, and what you can say is, it's still people out here who are redlining, but you can't say the system is promoting redlining because there's a federal law in place that denounces it, that says it's illegal to redline. All right.
Okay.
That got put in place in '73, I believe.
So what about Black women and birthing? That's not a system thing. Where Black women during pregnancy, they are 3 times more likely to die during pregnancy than white women.
I've
never
Black
seen
women
that.
are 3 more times likely to die during pregnancy because
I've never seen that.
They believe.
I've never seen women in general just around here dying during pregnancy.
Is that because the color of their
technology is
insurance?
No, not the insurance. Well, insurance is
healthcare. Healthcare is not necessarily because of the color of people's skin. It's because
not healthcare. Not healthcare. Not healthcare.
Because healthcare is a corporation, and they're influenced by money. So
For sure,
yeah,
for sure.
that's the thing with the healthcare.
I'm not arguing the healthcare. I'm talking more so of how they view Black women as far as their pain threshold. They won't give you some type of they won't give you certain medicines because you're fine, you can deal with that. That's an actual thing they've done through time. They've done that.
So the
That.
thing is to promote an idea about America now, we use history, right? But not recent history. We use
that's
history
recent.
that
That's
happened a long
recent.
time
You can
ago.
look that up.
I promise you, I've been through countless studies. I've never seen any study in general about the death rate of women in America being high or the death rate of Black women. I've heard the talking point. I've heard the talking point for sure. Black women are this, Black men are that. I hear all these talking points. The problem is we integrate narrative with facts. All right, because you give me a story. It's like, let's say you believe in police brutality, right? And then you, in order to prove your point, you give me an anecdote. You give me a story in which you were, in your eyes, assaulted by the police, right? Now, what that's supposed to do is, my specific example is supposed to make a broader point about a broader subject, right? But then when you go to the numbers, okay, he's saying this is the case, he experienced this. So then when you go to the numbers tell a different story, right? And then to disprove the numbers or discredit the numbers, we say, well, the numbers are accumulated by the white man, right? So he's creating the narrative through numbers to prevent us from to remove any type of factual evidence that this is actually the case, right? And so then you have Black scientists or Black whatever it is doing the numbers for us, and then come up with the same outcome, which is what you do in any study. Any study, you have to have peer review. You have to have somebody replicate the study in order to make it valid, right? And so when we go and listen to these news stations and we hear this narrative, it's because it's not because we're trying to promote. It's not because we're trying to show how endemically racist or whatever America is. It's because we're trying to promote a narrative. In history of people, the way we send wisdom, values, and everything is being encoded in a story. So you'll always get got if you hear a really touching story, you always get got, always, because that's how we are socially. That does not make it true, right? So if you hear all these talking points, I always encourage people, if you hear these talking points, just go do this, type in Google, scholarly studies on blah, 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 blah. It's simple. And you can read the abstract. You don't have to read the whole thing. Read the abstract. The abstract gives you a synopsis of what the study is about and what the findings were, right? And it does not give out what's being pushed. And so what we do is, because it's pushed on our behalf, right? It can be false, but it's on our behalf. The false story is on our behalf. We attach ourselves to it. That's why I say we don't have any values in our community, because we're easily duped, and we look at it as empowerment instead of, like he said, it's victimization, right? You're victimizing me for a political point. So I don't believe anything about when it's just like specifically Black women are this many times more likely to die because now listen, this stat itself can be factual, right? It can be factual that when we accumulate the studies, Black women are this much more likely to die in pregnancy than white women, right? Or vice versa. Doesn't make it a race thing. It could be a biological thing. It could be an environmental thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like for example, the black people are more likely to die from COVID-19 than any other community. COVID is not racist. It's we biologically have the comorbidities necessary to die from this disease, which is diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension. These things are prevalent, highly prevalent in our society.
But that prevalency is systematic.
Yeah. How is diabetes systematic?
Bro, so look, like I don't want to, like when you say like how can it be systematic, right? When they come into numbers and stuff like this. And this is me, like I went to a predominantly white school and then came back and taught, like in this is why, so after teaching for CPS for 5 years, this is why I left. Because the numbers, this system is crazy, bro. Think about it. Like, can a gorilla teach a zebra? Can a zebra teach a gorilla how to be a gorilla?
No, it's two different species.
So now think about it like this, right? What was the worst? And I don't want to get like too far deep, but what was the baddest decision for Black people in America? The Brown versus the Board of Education decision. That was the worst thing for Black people in America ever.
Okay.
Because why? Because why it segregated our students, but then segregate our teachers. Before the Brown versus Board of Education decision, over 70% of the working population in America for Black people were teachers. We were going to school and we were teaching our people how to be teachers. They stopped letting us teach our people, bro. Think about public schools right now. Think about what you went through. What everybody on this pod, like everybody who tuned in right now, we had white teachers and shit, bro. We didn't have us teaching us how to learn like that, bro.
But
so
what's the systemic?
So right. Look, when you when the Brown versus Board of Education case happened, right? We're gonna move all y'all Black students into these schools with these white teachers, and we're gonna replace them with white teachers. Have the reason why all Black people are able to work in all these other jobs because they lost their jobs when the Brown versus Board of Education case happened.
Keontae, the opportunity for my Black kid is diminished because they have white teachers? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I totally disagree with you.
Look, listen,
I completely disagree with you. Only because I have 4 kids. And I have a straight A student who just started 9th grade.
Let her finish, Keontae. Let her finish.
I have a straight A student, okay, who just started 9th grade, okay? Most of her teachers were either Black or were either white or Mexican, yes. I have 3 other kids he's asthmatic, so he has a lot of health issues. I've gotten multiple calls from their teacher saying, hey, I think you need to come check on your son because we're concerned for his health. I go to the school, he's totally fine. Okay, white or Mexican. I have another child. I completely disagree. My kids will not be who they
starts from
because
you
they have a
though.
white teacher. Because
it starts from you. It starts from you.
I had white teachers too, though.
No, wait. It starts from you and what.
What do you mean? It starts from her.
It comes from home. Everything
what comes from home is what I'm saying.
Is the problem the home or is the problem the teacher now? What's the problem now?
Wait. No, I'm saying where it starts from. The ability to be able to learn.
The teacher, but
wait.
Hold on. Let him go.
I'm not. My kids are gonna be great. They're gonna be amazing. They won't be a president.
No, like
I'm trying to understand the broader point behind, because he brought up Brown versus Education, which the ruling was to desegregate schools, and so I'm trying to figure out how that was a bad thing for the Black community because we had.
So look,
during the era they were pushing to segregate schools.
Studies show that naturally, like humanistic, like race-wise, culture, race, environment, all of that, where we grow up, that affects how you learn. The people who you've been around, everything like that affects how you learn, affects the uptake of how you do stuff, right?
Okay.
Most of our teachers, you got these white people who ain't never, bro. I went to a school where you had white people who had one Black person in their school, who ain't never been around Black culture. You take a 22-year-old white male or white female who ain't never been around Black students, who ain't never been around Black culture. You put her in a public school with 32 Black kids.
Okay.
Who
what
culturally
so how would the race
English who becomes a doctor? What about what about the Asian student who doesn't speak very good English who becomes a doctor?
What they mama and daddy doing? What are they mama and daddy doing? Are they mama and daddy a doctor?
The solution is the home then, right? The solution is the home. Having a
Black
doctor.
That's why I said that's where it starts at.
Can I say something? Hold on 1 second.
Making more educated. They're all like you said, it's a system. Well, the school board is a system too. The curriculum is designed. They set out the curriculum for the whole year for all students. It doesn't change based off the color, the demographic. It's all the same. So if you're a second grader, if you're a Black second grader, a Mexican second grader, even if you're a Mexican second grader who barely speaks any English, who just came to America, your curriculum is still the same.
But you're not going to learn the same. But that don't mean you're going to learn the same.
But how do you expect one teacher to be able to, with 35 students in a
public? Hold on, y'all. Let's get the radar.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Hey, no, I like it. I like it. I do want to help my man Keontae because I also taught in the school as well. I taught in an all-black school, and I was the only black staff there. There is a disconnect when the staff is white and they don't understand the kids. So the way you do learn, it will be different. Now, when I come in my class, because I taught these two kids down here, I come in my class, I know the music they listen to. I know the neighborhood. I know what mama cooking. I know it because I understand the culture.
Exactly.
So I can teach you better. Now, let's change when I'm here. I coach at a high school where it's predominantly white kids. There is a disconnect from us. But since I come from a different place where being friendly and being open and just being loving, I can kind of get it a little better. But it is a disconnect because I have white teachers tell these young kids down here saying nigger is a cussing word, is a bad word. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand the music. They don't understand things. So the way you talk is going to be different. I bet Darvin, Keontae, when you had a math teacher and you needed a little help, he put it to you in street terms. Keep putting it to you in street terms like this, because you knew how to identify with you. Not saying if I get an all-white staff like your daughter, not saying she's not going to be well off, but saying there is going to be, you know what, I don't see myself in my teachers. So I don't want to be a teacher because I never see anybody by you.
That's not a requirement.
It's
that's
systematic.
Not a but that's what I'm saying. That's not when you say there's a disconnect and then you describe the disconnect. The disconnect is culturally, right? And the only reason why
it's not culturally, that's the major problem. That disconnect is the major problem.
I'm listening to what y'all were just saying, right? The disconnect y'all are describing is I know the music you listen to, I know the family.
No, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. Don't slow.
Listen. I'm not saying it's not deeper. I'm just saying I'm going off what you're saying. But hold on, listen. I'm going off what you're saying. Now, when I'm hiring a teacher to teach students at a school mathematics, I'm not hiring a teacher who can connect with the kid culturally. I'm hiring a teacher who can present this information to the kid in the most effective way possible. Hold on, wait now. The most effective way. It's not piss poor because the problem is in our community as a whole, we feel like we always have to be understood in a way for our life to prevail. It's like, okay, I got white teachers. He's able to teach me algebra. He does not need to know the music I listen to. He does not need to know the food I eat. He does not need to know what I do when I go home. Now,
why not?
Why not? But it's not required. It's an added plus. Yeah, Mr. Keonis at Douglas. He's a white kid, white teacher, cool math teacher, right? He was connected with me on the UFC MMA stuff, but he wasn't from where I was from, but he taught math very effectively, which is his job. Now, if you're going to find a mentor or someone who you want to be around your kid, then maybe you want that mentor to understand your kid before you then bring him in as like full time, right? But as a teacher, your job is to teach. Your job is not to connect with the students on a social level, like contractually. Now, to be able to do that is a blessing, right? To be able to do that is a beautiful thing. I'm able to teach these kids. I'm able to teach them easier because I understand how they think, right? But it's not systematic because I don't relate to my students. Because you got to think about it. It's black teachers. How many black teachers in Douglas?
90% of their teachers connect with them.
How many black teachers in Douglas connected with the students besides Mr. Key? That's it. Dr. Crump didn't connect with us.
But how many black? Right? How many black?
You had the Mitchells.
They didn't connect with us.
Bro,
the Mitchells didn't connect with us. They just were authoritative figures. They didn't connect with us. They were just the black parent or the black auntie or the uncle who was watching you while you were in school. They taught you in a very strict, firm way.
So we're gonna move on to the next question. Go ahead, finish up, then we move on to the next question.
All right. Let me ask you this, bro. Like the reason why I became a black teacher was because right now in the United States, when it comes to elementary, primary, high school, college, black people represent 7% of the entire teaching population in the United States.
Well,
isn't that a career? That's a career preference, though, right?
Population as well. So
that's a career preference, though, right? You can't force people to be a teacher.
But why do you think? So why do you think we don't want to be teachers? We don't think it's
I don't
something
think
that's
we don't
prevalent.
want to be teachers. I just think people have their
They
own
don't
individual
let
passion.
us.
It's not they don't let us
They
because
don't.
it's a lot of teachers, bro. It's a lot of black teachers. I'm not sure where you get your stats from, which is why I'm not combating the stat. I'm not combating the stat. What I am combating is if that stat is true, it's because people have the ability in America to be what they want to be. Now, black men in general do not go into teaching, right? Because statistically true, through a personality test, right? This is true. When you look at men and you look at women, men are interested in things. Women are interested in people. That's why men go down the route of engineering, right? Creating things. Women goes down the route of nursing, teaching, right? Because it's a personality difference. The reason why there's not, you're outlier. You're a man teaching, right? Just in general, men don't teach. Men don't do nursing things, right? So it's not that it's a system that's preventing. There's absolutely no system in my eyes that's preventing, especially in this time, that's preventing black people from advancing because the narrative is there's a system preventing black people from advancing. And then this is the thing, that narrative is being pushed by black people advancing, right? But in order to keep pushing that narrative, it keeps you advancing. So the system is really volatile right now. So if you want to be a teacher, you can be a teacher. We have affirmative action, bro. That's still a thing. You're going to you're going to this school because you're black. It's not because you fit the qualifications. It's because you're black, and we're going to meet a quota in this school of having a certain amount of black people here. All right, sure. That's not based on merit. That's based on race. So when you say people are not going to be teachers, it's because they don't want to be teachers. If that's the case, it's not because the system is pushing them back.
Hey, so that was great. My last comment to that: we imitate what we see. If we don't see,
you can't be what you can't see. You can't be what you can't see. You can't be what you can't see.
So my next question is this, and then we'll wrap it up after this. I'll let Brighton go. Brighton, is black on black crime a myth? Is that a real thing? Because people are using that like, oh, that's black on black crime. Like, is that a real thing? Like, can you explain that to people who don't know what that means and kind of debunk that whole thing if possible?
I don't think black on black crime is
Oh, my bad.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
I don't think like black on black crime is a thing. I think crime is a thing, but like I don't think there's such thing as white on white crime, black on black crime. I think it's just crime in general.
I'll ask you a question. Explain why don't you think it's a thing?
Because like when you get down to it, it's all violence, no matter like who's like performing it or where it comes from. It's all violence. You go to jail, you get punished. Like there was the bad repercussions after the fact. It just shouldn't matter. Like I just never understood people said black on black crime or white on white crime. I just saw it as like crime in general, people doing bad things.
People doing bad things, right?
And I agree with them. This is where I take it from. I feel like they got black on black crime from here. If you look at this area or this population, it's a large group of black people living in this population. So all the crime and stuff that's going to happen is by black people. I can't go to Oak Park and be like, well, where's the black on black crime? It ain't too many black on black crimes, so don't too many black people live here. But if you go to Austin area,
it's not based by community though. It's not based by community though.
But I like, that's what I feel like it is. That's why I feel like that understanding is like people get their information, they get their huge numbers from areas where you got a large amount of black people. You got a large amount where black people are living together and stuff like that. And you be like, look,
which is true.
This many black people killed this many black people over here. But if I go where the Latin Kings at, or if I go into this area neighborhood, it's the same number of stuff. So you're gonna be like, oh well, that's Mexican on Mexican crime right there. Well, how can only Mexicans live over there? So like,
Keontae, this where
hold on one second, because Danielle was about to go when Brian was about to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
So do I think it's a myth? I wouldn't assume that it spoke about enough like a fairy tale or a story to be a myth. I think it's a reality. I feel like there are a lot of black people who kill a lot of black people based off of circumstances, community. Like Keontae said, if you have a community of pretty much all black people, most likely the crime is going to be a black person doing it to another black person. I think it was just somebody thought about, hey, black on black crime. I don't know where it originated from or whatnot. Just like Black Lives Matter, somebody just wanted to raise awareness of an issue. It could have been an issue in retaliation to another issue about white racism, maybe, and somebody just said, well, what about black on black crime, to try to, like, you know, overshadow the racism issue. Just like the police brutality, now racism, now Black Lives Matter, right? So there's always an issue that creates a cause and a label for something. So yes, I do believe black on black crime is real. Now, I don't believe black people are deliberately targeting black people. I just believe that if you're in a black community, or not even so, like, even if you're from a different neighborhood, you got Sudanos and Norteños. They really ain't worried about black people or Asians. You know, you got Bloods and Crips. They really ain't worried about black people and Asians. Or Mexicans and Asians. They're worried about either the Blood or the Crip. So I think they target based off of like gang affiliation. I don't believe an actual black person literally says, like, I want to commit a crime because he's black. If that's the ideology or that's the sense behind it all, I don't believe in that. I just believe that a black person saw an opportunity from another black person and they took it. That's how.
Okay. Keontae, you was saying something to Dartman about. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was just like, I just don't believe, like I said, at the end of the day, like, I don't believe like it's black on black crime. Like, I don't kill you because you're black. Like, if it's some gang, if you a vice lord and I'm a this and I'm a that, it's because of that. It ain't because your skin is black. So it's like, it ain't got nothing to do with like, oh yeah, like, I feel like people just look at it like, oh, black on black crime. Like, yeah. Like, when people be like, what about all these black people who killing all these? Like, no, it's just because that's the area it's in. It ain't got nothing to do with like being black on black. If you look at it, if you go into a population where it's a bunch of white people and you look at their crimes, it's going to be white on white crimes because that's all in their area. Like, that's all in their area. If you put me somewhere where it's all around Asians around or something like that, it's going to be Asian crimes going on. But ain't nobody like, yeah, it's Asian on Asian crimes. People bring that term of being black on black because, look, they get their numbers from communities that are black on black. Like, you can't go to like we from, right? You know where we from. We can't go to Oak Park, Melrose Park, and Naperville and be like, it's black on black crime there. Why? Because don't too many black people live there. So you ain't gonna see crime actions happening that are related to black on black. Yes, sure. People in the media and stuff, they take that black on black stuff just because they get their statistic and numbers from places where you only got black people. I guarantee you, if you had a mix of population of people and look at their crime rates, you can't be like, well, yeah, most of this stuff is happening because it's black on black. No, you got to look at the demographics you're talking about. When people be like, well, what about the black people that are killing black people? It ain't got nothing to do with them being black. We killing each other over some gang stuff or some money stuff or some drug stuff or something else. It ain't got nothing to do with us being black. That's why, like, when people try to say, what about the black on black crime? It don't have nothing to do with us being the simple color that we are. It's something more than that. That's why we're so pressed. That's why all this stuff happening. Like, we protesting because we're simply getting killed and doing all this just because of the color of our skin. When it happened with us, we gonna whack somebody over you some money or something, or some you disrespected us or something. It's not because we black. It's something totally different.
The thing. So what I was going to say was, y'all can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So what I was saying as far as Danielle's point when she said she don't think it's anybody killing each other because he's black. I don't think that's the meaning behind black on black crime. The point that they both made is true as far as the community. Rape crime is interracial. All right, so you normally commit a crime against somebody within your race. All right, just like rape or murder is normally like somebody that's close to you. You kill from somebody you know. You've been raped from somebody that you know. Right. The problem though is there's such a high rate, right? So when you look at the number one cause of death for young black men is homicide, all right? And 90% of all homicides in the black community is from a black person. And the victim is black, right? So when I say I don't necessarily say black on black crime, but when I'm speaking on that topic, the issue is the community itself is has seen a uptick, a super uptick in violence, murder, and essentially beyond the normal point in which this happens in any given community, right? And so when you look at the stats, black on black crime, it's not a myth in general, because like y'all said, black people kill black people, not because they black, but just because that's when we're around. But the problem is the uptick and the increase. For example, Minneapolis, Michigan, Atlanta, have all seen, because they're on the whole defund the police thing. They've all seen an uptick in murder and violent crimes about 30-40% from last year, from last year, right?
Chicago.
Don't talk about
Chicago is probably
Their murder
talk
rate
about
is like
Chicago.
up like 300%.
yeah, the murder rate is up ridiculous, right? And so the problem is
mainly black people killing
it's
black.
mainly black people killing black people. In New York, this is a crazy stat. It was either in June or July, one of these months. There was 100 homicides. All of them were black. Nobody, 100 shootings, 100 homicides, 1 or 2. Everybody was black, right? And so the problem when this get brought up is, or at least when I bring it up, as opposed to the topic of police brutality, is because this is the real problem within our community. I myself don't believe in police brutality, just statistically speaking. All right. I do believe, however, that we have a horrible problem culturally with elevating the lowest common denominator in our community, right? And so if you are even when we talk about the good times back in the day, the OGs wouldn't allow this. Who are the OGs? Are they the people who are on the corner selling drugs, shooting each other? They just said, "Hey, kids off target, kids off limits, women off limits. It's between me and you," right? It's still the lowest common denominator. They just had values back then. The problem now is it's still the lowest common denominators. They're just without values, right? And so now the increase is so prevalent because there's no standard. And the reason why it's being brought up is because it's like if you're in your home, the analogy is I always give people is if you're in your home and I'm at your front door with a shotgun, right? I'm trying to get into your house, but then you look 3 blocks behind me, it's a whole group of people coming or another person coming to rob you, right? You're worried about the guy behind 3 blocks away instead of worrying about me. I'm at your door, right? And so that's the problem. The problem is the quote unquote police brutality is a 3 blocks away guy, right? Because if you look at it statistically, the numbers are so low. It's like last year, I think it was something like 8 unarmed black men died at the hands of police officers, right? And you don't hear that. This year, probably 2, something like that. You don't hear that. And so we're worried about the guy three blocks ahead instead of worrying about the fact that in Chicago, like 12 kids done died within the span of like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? And so that's the real problem. But you don't want to hear when people say they bring up this black on black crime myth, it's because it steers away from the narrative of we're being killed by the people who's supposed to protect us, which is in fact not the case. We're being killed by each other which is normal in the sense of society. It's interracial, but it's the percentage of it is 90 something. Like the number one death for young black men is homicide. That shouldn't be the case. Okay. It shouldn't be the case.
Hey Joe, your eyes got big. You want to say something, Joe?
She said,
like with the analogy and everything, I understand that you sound like the problem of blacks killing each other is bigger than the problem of police killing black people. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying our focus is somewhere it shouldn't be. I'm not saying police killing black people is a problem.
So when you're saying that we should focus more on black people killing each other rather than the police killing black people.
So what I'm saying is the narrative is, which means the story is black people are being killed by police. I'm saying that that's not the case. What's actually the case is we have a super increased percentage of black people killing black people. That's what I'm saying.
And so I just feel like that, well, with me, black on black crime in general, I feel like that shouldn't even really be a term. I feel like that term is only used when there's other situations not involving black people. And then they use that black on black crime to justify why like those other issues aren't like as big. So like what I'm getting from your analogy is that like, this black on black crime is being used as like, well, for me, I'm seeing it as like, okay, police brutality, like you brought it up, yeah, it's a big thing, but you know, we got black on black crime, so we should focus on that more. But I feel like it's not even that focus on that more. I feel like, to me, I think they're equal because, like what Brighton said, crime is crime in general. And then on top of that, I agree with everybody else was saying as far as like the community, but I feel like black on black crime is only here in general is because of like it's easier to take something from somebody that's sitting right next to you rather than reaching across the table and getting and stealing it from them. And so I think as if like with the whole police brutality thing, like that's added on to the black on black crime. So it's like, okay, yeah,
How you
the
think it's
police
adding
shot them
on? How you think it's adding on to the black on black crime?
because as far as like what was going on with Chicago, not in Chicago, but like what happened to Michigan with the whole George Floyd thing, and then with that leading to like the looting, and then next thing you know, all these kids and stuff are being shot not only in Chicago, but it's also happening in Atlanta as well. And then I'm not saying like, oh, if the whole George Floyd thing didn't happen, that this stuff wouldn't happen now, but I feel like it definitely played a part in why this occurred, and then in such a short span of time.
Yeah. She said, so she's saying she think it exacerbated it. So she think because the George Floyd thing happened, the uptick, it didn't help the case for black women, which is true. That's true.
Right.
If
And
you
then
already
to
have a
me,
point,
I think it made it worse.
yeah. If you already have an issue, and something comes in and exacerbates that issue just gets worse. That's a very fair assumption. But so what we disagree is because it's the narrative. I'm real big on that. The narrative kind of drives what we do as a community. If the narrative is America is this racist whatever, then we push ourselves to believe that, and then we shift whatever it is we have according to plan, as far as planning towards that narrative. So then when you take a step back and you remove your emotions from things, and you try to be overly moral, or you try to virtue signal or anything like that, and you look at what's actually the reality of the situation versus the story of it. The problem is, which is why I gave you the analogy of the guy 3 blocks away and the guy up front. It's a priority issue, right? And so let's say, for argument's sake, that this is a problem, right? One problem is significantly bigger than the other problem. And it's not saying that you should just totally forget about the problem that's not as big. But if you got cancer, you should focus on the cancer more than you should focus on some type of infection on your arm. You should still focus on the infection on your arm, but the cancer is what's going to kill you. Now, it'd be crazy if you have cancer, but you're focusing on an infection on your arm that's not there. All right? So then now the cancer is getting worse because anything left unchecked get worse over time. And then you're healing something that's not a wound. All right? And so that's why I think the difference lies between the black on black crime and the police brutality. It's all in the numbers.
So I agree with you. I agree with you on some of those things, but I'm gonna just take it back to that systematic thing as far as the black on black crime. If we were educated properly, if we were fed the proper foods, like as far as your nutrition, because all those things, play a part in what you do. Like if we had the good resources that our counterparts have across the way, some of those things could be avoided. Not all, but a lot of those things. Because through education, it's not a talking point, it's an actual action point.
It is. I'll tell you what, a talking point too.
But check this out. If me and you went to the same school, and we would have a lot of friends that went to the same school, but a lot of things didn't happen the same way for us, for them, as far as, their upbringing, as far as the home thing like that. So then you put on top of that, okay, we had decent homes growing up. What about the other people who didn't have decent homes? Now we put on top of it a not so well education system that doesn't show that you're important to them, to the system. It doesn't show that at your school. So now you have your neighborhood is so highly hyper police. So now you have that issue. So now your whole thinking is, oh, when I'm on Austin, I got to live in this box because you're not educated, you're not loved the proper way. So it always ties back into that. Now, as far as like which one is more significant to each other, I think it's go hand in hand. It
Like,
go
let
hand in
me.
hand.
I can
Because
respond.
there's my mom says there's no big I's and there's no big U's. Because I got my next door neighbor who's gonna shoot me. That's shitty too. Now I got this guy who's supposed to come protect me. He gonna shoot me too. There is no they both cancerous.
Yeah, but so it has to be true. That's the thing. But to your point regarding as far as the not being properly educated, not being properly fed, there was a war on poverty, right? Where America strategically put in. It was. Don't quote me. I know it's in the trillions. It's either $1 trillion or $27 trillion in like American dollars into the war on poverty to bring in new programs, to bring in better food, to bring in new systems of education. All this stuff was already had. So the money is not the problem. The resource is not the problem. The problem is the home. That's where it starts there, right? So then when you look at a crazy stat like this in the 60s, right? Single black family homes was like 20%. 20% of all the black families' homes were single mothers, right? That's during segregation. That's during Jim Crow. Today, it's 70% of all black families are missing the father at the crib, right? And then it's incentivized because then now, if you don't have a father in the crib, you get to go on governmental programs. And depending on the father's absence, that determines how much money you get. All right. So now I'm incentivized for my kid to not have a father. Now, 3 things that almost guarantees you success in this world is mother and father in the household, education, graduating high school, and not having a child out of wedlock. Those 3 things, you will almost 10 out of 10 be successful, right? Now, when you look at, and these are studies you can see, they check it out. Kids who don't have a father are, I think, like 10 times more likely to drop out of high school. And the thing is, we see this because we grew up in it. So it's not like this number is arbitrary or it's vague. You see these things. And so when these things don't happen, you kind of leave a kid to fend for himself. So now you got a kid with a sponge like mine who's around other grown men who was him at one point in time, who went down a certain route, which wasn't the great route, and they're bringing him down that route with him. And so the problem is culturally. I'll say that until the wheels fall off. Until we fix that, we'll always have this problem. When we say systemic racism, we can't point to the system. We keep it vague because then it could apply to everything. And then when we do point to something, it's something far back in the 50s, something far back in the 60s. But we're applying it today, right? And so when you have put so many programs, so many systems into a community, and the community is still the same, it's no longer the programs and the systems that are lacking, it's the upbringing, right? When you look at any other community, any other culture, they all have, when you look, like, for example, the Asian culture, no matter what age.
We're gonna wrap up in a little bit.
I'll end here. No matter what age of family you go to, really, education is like, and it's a stereotype now. He Asian, he's smart. He can't drive though, but he's smart. You go to the Jewish community, it's education, it's religion. And then the thing is, even their lowest common denominators, like the cartel, like the mafia family, they still hold these values: religion, education. Even they're out there killing everybody. They hold these values. When you look at the black community, you can only speculate what we all think. We all don't think the same thing. And so we pass that down to our children, this vague concept about what life is. And he goes through his life until he finds out what it is. He vicariously learns it through somebody that's next to him that's doing something wrong. And then we put into all these programs he don't want to be in, right? And so then the education becomes the problem and not the family. To me, it's the family. We don't have any foundational values or principles to raise our children on. And so then when these children get raised, inevitably they grow as they get older. They get older by the day. They don't have anything to stand on. They don't have anything to filter life through, right? And so then you just kind of go fly by night. That's the problem. It's not some system that nobody can point to that's holding you down. You're hearing this system. You're hearing from upper, like, hyper successful black people that no matter what you, Michelle Obama told these kids this, no matter what you do, there's a system put in place that's going to stop you from advancing. She was the first She was flawless.
We gonna end on Obama. We gonna end on Michelle Obama.
She was flawless. Where is the system that's stopping you from becoming the first lady of the United States?
I want to hear her voice. That's the problem. The Obamas, they're powerful individuals, and this is their opportunity to lead the Black community, and they're silent. That's my biggest fear with powerful Black people is they have the power, but they don't use it.
They're promoting the narrative. LeBron's promoting a narrative. Oprah's promoting the narrative. Oprah liking.
I think that we should leave it here. I think we should leave it here.
I wish
for
Hey,
part
so-
two.
more.
So yeah, so we all.
I want them to use it.
So yeah, thank you guys. We are all done for the day. We appreciate the conversation for you guys. You guys will definitely be invited back again. Cause we love the different perspectives because our biggest thing is Chicago 45. We don't want the same thing. We don't want the same as my son say. He say same. We want different opinions from different people of color who can help move us as people closer to the finish line. So thank you, Darby, my friend. I love you to death.
Yeah. I just wanted to tell Bryden and how you pronounce her name, Jordan.
Jordan.
I just tell y'all keep.
No. Don't listen to him. He's saying it wrong. Joydan.
Bryden.
Yes.
Joydan. All right, being able to I encourage y'all to stay involved in things like this. Okay, be able to express yourself, be able to push an opinion. Be able to be open to changing your opinion and being able to articulate yourself. Being here is bigger for you later on than it is for you now. All right, you'll understand why you were here, why DeRay brought you to these conversations, everything once you go into college. All right, so it's definitely fun talking to you guys.
Man, and we appreciate that, man. Hey, go like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment
for more content.
Yeah, and right.
Don't forget to vote for Dre.
Yeah,
point on the post notifications.
All right, man. Y'all have a blessed day. 45, we out.